Watching birds feeding, displaying, and collecting nest material in the garden is the most wonderful way to connect with the natural world. Whether you are listening to chiff-chaff singing while you're weeding the borders in spring or watching redwings feeding in the snow, birds bring life and joy to our gardens throughout the year. Here are the 25 British garden birds and how to identify them. Number 1. House Sparrow. This gregarious garden bird often nests in holes in buildings, in grouped nest boxes or house walls. The male has a streaked brown back, brown head and neck, with a grey cap and black bib. Females are juveniles and are less distinctly marked, with streaky backs and no bib. House sparrows feed on seeds and grains in autumn and winter, but in spring they need access to a plentiful supply of small invertebrates to feed their developing chicks. Although still among the most common birds in UK gardens, house sparrow populations have significantly declined in the past 50 years. Number 2. The blue tit. With its blue cap and wings, this charming, colourful tit is a familiar sight in many gardens. Feeding on peanuts and sunflower hearts at the garden feeders, the adults collect caterpillars and other insects to feed their young in spring and early summer. Blue tits commonly nest in garden bird boxes which mimic holes in trees, their natural nest sites. In winter they travel through woods and gardens in groups, often with other tits and small birds such as gold crests. Number 3. The starling. The starlings are striking birds, black and white, green and blue, iridescent markings that become more prominent in winter. They gather large flocks to feed and roost. At dusk they fly in huge synchronized murmurations, thought to offer protection for individuals within the flock from avian predators such as peregrine falcons. They visit the garden bird feeders in winter and feed on invertebrates in the summer. Groups of starlings can sometimes be seen picking leather jackets or crane vine larvae out of lawns. They can often be heard whistling and singing. Starlings are wonderful mimics. Unfortunately, the UK's breeding population has declined more than 50% in the last 25 years. Number 3. Wood pigeon. This wood pigeon is actually a remarkably attractive bird with a soft pink breast, blue-grey head and a white neck patch. It's the UK's largest pigeon, and pairs nest year-round, although their main breeding season is in the summer. Wood pigeons eat insects and a wide range of plant material. They can be seen in parks, gardens, woodland and fields across the UK. And what number is that? Number 5. Blackbird. Male blackbirds are black with a yellow beak and yellow eye rings, while females are brown and speckled, rather than like a song thrush, though the speckles are not as distinctive on a female. Blackbirds mainly eat invertebrates and fruit. They tend to nest in between forked branches in shrubs, trees and climbers, so areas in gardens with mature, dense planting are ideal for these common thrushes. You might hear snatches of blackbird subsong in winter before the breeding season gets underway. Then male blackbirds start singing with gusto around the beginning of March, a beautiful sound that heralds the arrival of spring. In some milder regions in the UK, however, the full song can be heard as early as December, possibly due to in part of warmer winters as a result of climate change. Robin. Fiercely territorial, the robin sings throughout the year, and its trickling song is thought to sound more mournful in winter. Robins are ground feeders, so they tend to come to bird tables rather than hanging feeders, and prefer seed mixes and sunflower parts to peanuts. You can also spot them searching for worms on lawns. Males and females look alike, and juveniles are brown and spotty without the red chest of the adults. Robins are fearsome fighters among their own kind, but often follow gardeners around to catch invertebrates that are unearthed during digging. Sometimes garden robins can be quite tame. Next, goldfinch. The goldfinch is an exquisite garden bird with a red face, white cheeks, black cap and gold bars on the wings. They usually visit in flocks called charms, and the first you hear is their tinkling call, like a shaking of tiny bells. These small finches are seed feeders, and they are attracted to sunflower hearts and seeds. In autumn and winter, they feed in meadows and gardens on seeds from plants such as lavender, teasel, knapweed, and verbena. Next, great tit. Larger than the blue tit, with greeny yellow wings, a yellow breast, black head, and black stripe down its breast. The great tit is a common sight in gardens, both on hanging feeders and deciduous trees. Males and females look similar, but males can be distinguished by more than obvious black stripe. Like blue tits, great tits are often nest in bird boxes around the garden and start laying eggs around late March to early April. Their main call is easily distinguished with its seesawing teacher, teacher, teacher reputation like this. Reputation. But they also have a wide range of other songs and calls. Next, magpies. Magpies are doing well in urban areas, and you can't ignore their noisy chattering and bickering when they gather in flocks to roost for the night. Males and females are similar in appearance. Males are a little larger, but the size difference is not significant enough to be a reliable identification feature. Magpies might look merely black and white at first glance, but their plumage has a blue iridescent sheen, which takes on a greeny hue down the long tail. It can be seen and around gardens throughout the year. Next, the long-tailed tit. This adorable small British bird can be seen bouncing through the branches in garden trees and shrubs in pairs during the breeding season and in flocks. Sometimes called volaries. In winter, as their name suggests, they have long, narrow tails, longer than their bodies, and white, black, and creamy pink plumage. As well as insects, they also eat peanuts and fat at garden feeders. Long-tailed tits start nest building as early as the beginning of February, constructing intricate domed nests made of lichen, moss, and spider webs, lined around 1,500 feathers. Next, the wren. For such a tiny bird, the wren has an extremely powerful voice, and you can often hear it singing and trilling, while the secretive singer remains hidden in the undergrowth. If you get a glimpse of this fast-moving bird, you'll see it has a brown bird body, with the bearing especially visible on the wings and tail, a white stripe over the eye and a tail. They have 1 or 2 broods of chicks and nest in dense vegetation or open-fronted nest boxes. There will be a part 2 to this. Next one is dunnock, until part 2. The dunnock is a common garden bird about the size of a robin. Although these small brown and grey birds are often overlooked, they have a sweet warbling song. You'll notice that they move with an upright stance as they shuffle along the ground. Primarily insectivores, you might see dunnocks beneath feeding stations, eating seeds that other birds have dropped. Here's your part 2.